What does Profitably do?
So if you think about the way small businesses and startups spend their time with the numbers, some of that's with their accounting software like Outright or Indenaro or QuickBooks, but a lot of their time is spent in Excel. And so the pain point we're trying to eliminate is thinking through the business planning and accounting for customer acquisition cost and lifetime value, thinking through channel effectiveness, all this business planning and analysis that gets done by an entire finance team in a large company is entirely absent in small companies and in startups. And so we're trying to provide software that helps with that.
I see. And what are some of the key challenges you're facing right now?
So one of the key challenges we're running into right now is we've got a product in the marketplace and it's doing well, and we have a lot of work to do to kind of continue to grow it. But we've also got a new product that we're launching around business planning that's, specifically building a business model, the kind of thing you'd show to an investor that people really struggle with. And the response so far from the marketplace has been great. People really want to get started on the sort of beta version that we've got. But we're struggling with pricing a little bit, and we've been talking with a lot of different folks and fielding their advice on whether we should just take this great new product that we've got and just kind of launch it and offer it for free, or since we've got people that are saying, hey, I'd pay $20, $50 a month for that. If people are saying that, should we just charge them for that as well? I mean, it's a difficult challenge, and we're wondering about pricing strategy and what you might have seen in other companies.
So pricing strategy for small to mid-sized business is always tough, and I don't want to be so presumptuous after a minute to sort of tell you what you should do, but I'll tell you what I've seen.
Sure.
We're investors in Outright and some other companies, and what we've seen is that customer acquisition for small to mid-sized businesses is the hardest thing. There's no good channel to reach them. There's no good marketing. You basically have to market to them as consumers. So if you have a new product that you think is really going to have broad-based appeal and broad-based interest by small to mid-sized businesses, and you think, basically by offering it for free, it could be a very good customer acquisition hook for you to then begin to upsell them to your existing product or to other products, that might be a strategy worth looking at. Obviously, there's so much that plays into that. Your underlying costs, what you think the conversion rate would be. But if you think you have something to help you, acquire a massive number of small to mid-sized businesses, you can almost view the subsidized cost as your marketing cost, and I think that could be an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah, I think that's largely how we've been thinking about it, and we'll see how the initial uptake is, but we're definitely excited.
Part of it also, of course, depends on how much headroom you have to add additional features and things to upsell, right? I mean, if you're sort of giving away the entire thing, that's one thing, right? I mean, if you want to, but that said, if you look at most of these SMB businesses, the vast majority of the challenges are around customer acquisition, and to the extent you can do clever things to reduce that cost or take it to zero, that's great.
I've said before, you don't want to have too much free and not enough medium. So you have to have the right balance in freemium to to make sure you have enough to upsell them to.
Right, and we've heard a lot of frustrations from some of the customers we've talked to around some of the freemium offerings that the version that they can get for free is just wounded. It doesn't do enough. So you're right. It's sort of striking that balance.
Yeah.
Another question, and it gets to this idea around the channel strategy and how difficult it is to acquire customers. We've been approached by a number of businesses that are looking to do a white label solution of basically providing the same analytics that we provide, but either co-branded or branded through them. And again, I don't think we can answer the question right now, but I'd love to get both of your sort of thoughts on the balance between something that may be somewhat close to our roadmap, but it might require some additional work to white label what we're doing. But they could bring us, for example, our Q2, Q3 of next year targets, in one swing, at no customer acquisition cost. It's pretty tempting. And so I think the two questions are, well, how have you seen this in the past, how the balance of the roadmap versus kind of white label opportunities, and how do investors think about that? If I can land a couple of those, does that excite them, or is it really just a distraction?
I would say just one thing to be cautious about is that oftentimes things that look like they could be easy money end up having a lot more kind of support and other kinds of things around it, and you could find yourself getting bogged down in that. I think that I also think in terms of, I think you really, to answer this question, you have to think about what's your goal in the next year? Is it to raise more money? You've raised a seed round. Is it to raise more money at a higher valuation, or is it to build a profitable business without raising money?
Sure.
And I think, I don't know, Josh, what you think, but I think if your goal is to raise money at a higher valuation, that investors will put a much greater premium on the non-white labeled products.
I think look, overall, investors value your own, if you could bring your own customers to it and you have your own direct pipeline to the customers, that creates more enterprise value. That said, if you see these white label deals as a way to sort of finance the business from one or two white label providers and not take the dilution of a funding round, that might be something to consider. But if you're asking what creates just again, generically, not knowing specifics of your situation, what creates the most enterprise value? I think a direct relationship with.
Have you ever seen the white labels, that kind of thing, actually work without bogging you down, the people, the developers
You know,
down, the support? I mean,
it creates it does create challenges. That said, some of these deals can create real revenue, but I've never seen, let's put it this way, I've never seen a founder's initial projections as to the investment level and cost actually pan out.
I remember there's a great Mark Andreessen post about a deal they did at Netscape, which was like some big, I forgot what it was. They did some huge deal and ended up just like completely draining all the resources of the company. And he said
we had that. I've also seen sometimes some international joint ventures do the exact same thing, where another country calls you up and wants to do business with you, and it's a company in another country, and it sounds so great at first, and then you start going into the cost of translation and different phone shifts for support, and I think you just have to watch out for sort of the hook.
Yeah, no, I think it's great advice. We have had a lot of interest internationally, and for that reason, we've kind of punted on that as we got to solve. We haven't solved this problem yet, and we're still in product market fit, so it's definitely not something we want to push.